Hey everybody, welcome back to Film Artsy. I'm your guy, 𝘧𝘪𝘭𝘮𝘕, and today we are going to break down all that is Batman for our new Batman movie that is coming in 2022. That's right, with all the new set photos, rumors about the new villains or the multitude of villains, talk about that awesome new Riddler costume, and quite frankly, the awesome new Bat costume. And on top of all those things, some of the theories or things I'm thinking that we're going to see, and also highlighting a vibe or flavor of Batman that we have not gotten yet from a cinematic Batman film. So buckle up and let's get started. First things first, we got a big surprise when we heard about the new Batman film in 2022 having Robert Pattinson, that's right, our famous teen, pale, skinny vampire taking on the cape and cowl. Now, I'm going to be completely fair, Robert has done a ton of roles since that cringy vampire days, and quite frankly, he is a phenomenal actor, and I'm really excited to see his take on the caped Crusader. That being said, this did leave some fans in surprise because this seems to be an indication that we are not going to get more Ben Affleck as Batman. Now, I know they could be doing like this is young Batman and that's old Batman, but I don't see that. If anything, I see completely two separate universes, and the Ben Affleck universe is teetering at best. I would like to see more Ben Affleck. I actually liked Ben Affleck as Batman, but unless they tend to do something or they plan to do something after The Flash, I think that's going to be it for the Ben Affleck DC universe. Once again, I do think DC and Warner Bros. Are kind of trying to separate from what happened with Justice League and Henry Cavill and all that and go down this new path, which I think they have a lot of good threads like the Suicide Squad and this new Batman. This new Batman being filled by Robert Pattinson is a whole different look. It's got a much more metallic suit, and as you can see in some of these photos and shots, it's almost like a knight's armor. He doesn't look very comfortable in it, and so I'm a little concerned about that, but at the same time, there's definitely some hidden Easter eggs, or at least some theories about what this suit represents. It's got this much more military, like I said, knight in armor, boot, gothic feel, and it's got some little things that I've noticed that, or at least other people have pointed out. For example, on his chest plate, you see kind of a disconnected bat symbol, and it seems to maybe be made out of the gun, and the theory there would be that that is actually made from the gun that killed his parents. Although this is kind of interesting, I think it'd be a little hokey, and if they're going for the vibe that they definitely seem to be setting, I think that would almost be a little much. I think it might just be a design choice, but we will see. Or I'd like to see that maybe come out to be some kind of weapon, some knives of some sort. I definitely don't like it just being symbolic. Although I like symbolism and more like clever made things, I don't think this is clever. I think it's hokey. So please don't be the guns of Batman's parent. Like, you know, I get he misses them, but that's probably not the way to go. The next component is actually on his like arm, forearm, gauntlet areas. I noticed this is that there seems to become either some kind of weaponry there. It looks like a bunch of arrows, but what I've come to learn is that this might actually be a call to the Court of Owls. The Court of Owls is an ancient conspiracy that's controlled Gotham City for centuries. There's a great quote from Dick Grayson that says, "Look, Bruce, no one knows Gotham better than you. It's your city. It's Batman's city. But it's also nearly 400 years old, which means over the years, maybe it belonged to something else too, something big, something dark." The Court of Owls is quite a popular story point in the Batman comic narrative, and it's hard to not like make that connection, because after looking up a good bit of stuff about the look of them and whatnot, he's definitely got that in his gauntlet forearm area. So I'm kind of hoping that's where that goes, because that is not something we've seen on screen yet, and there's a lot of history there, and it does go to this, I think maybe something that Riddler's pointing out. I don't know if he's worked with the Court of Owls, but it would seem that maybe Riddler is actually pointing out that there's a deeper, darker, you know, behind the scenes evil transpiring. That brings us to, let's talk about this new Riddler. I absolutely love the route they're going. Now, some people really enjoy the iconic bowler hat, green suit, larger than life, almost, I mean, I guess comical, right? Riddler character. We have Jim Carrey's Riddler. It's forever imprinted on your mind. You just can't get Jim Carrey's Riddler out of your mind. It is literally impossible. It was very comical, campy, and quite frankly, it's not going to make for a good villain in this type of Batman movie. I've always thought Riddler was an interesting one. Now, I'm not the biggest comic book guy, but Riddler, he's almost felt like although he's a very formidable foe, the way he looks always felt like reduced his threatening level. The bowler hat, the question marks, I get it. There's a lot of other weird characters and villains. And I know there's like a polka dot man, but at the same time, when you're making this type of film, which with the Nirvana song and the grunge vibe, and I'll touch on some of the things that they're trying to flavor with, the Riddler had to meet the tone that they're setting, and I couldn't be more thrilled with the new costume. If you're wondering, I do think this costume does get a lot of inspiration from the Zodiac Killer, which is both eerie but also captivating. The Zodiac Killer is a very scary, real thing that actually happened in history, and to make the Riddler in that similar vein, I think really fits well with how or what kind of villain he is. He doesn't have a superpower. He doesn't have these really ridiculous, machines. He in himself, and especially the way they portray him, is just an eerie villain who wants you to figure out what he's trying to do through a series of clues and really test your mind, and that actually if any bad thing falls upon the victim of his riddle, it's a result of you not being smart enough, not his evil, which makes him even scarier because he puts a lot of the blame on the people who can't succeed or successfully solve the riddle. As you see in these pictures, you've got this like duct tape leather mask with just the glasses coming through, and it's really an eerie vibe. It feels like a serial killer, it feels like a real killer, and it feels like a real villain you could see in our world. And that's where I want to touch on, is this is actually the vibe that I think they're going for, and it's not been seen in Batman yet. Let's talk about it. Before we continue our video, I just want to let you guys know that we have a really cool Instagram that updates on a regular basis. So if you like all things Marvel, this is the Instagram for you. So go follow that 𝘍𝘪𝘭𝘮 Instagram right now. You won't regret it, I promise you. Seriously, open Instagram right now and click that follow button. Now back to the video. So they've already kind of talked about some of the inspiration for these movies is coming from movies like Seven and the Zodiac Killer, and I love both of those movies. I love that grunge crime field, and it really set the tone for a lot of crime thrillers moving forward. Seven's a phenomenal film with one of the most spoiled endings of all time, right? And I do think this is what they're getting their inspiration from this new Batman movie. When I watched the trailer, it set a tone, and it set a tone that it is going to be about Batman, but it's not going to be comic booky. Even Ben Affleck's Batman was kind of comic booky, and it is a deviation from the Christopher Nolan Batmans. It's almost hard to believe that we could get another good Batman, but I actually think we're on the pathway to do it, and this is why. Because in every Batman we've had in, series, perhaps in the cartoons they do a fine job, but at least in live action series and movies, we do not get the detective, the great detective, the greatest detective of Gotham City, Batman. That's what makes him so formidable, and we often forget that. It's not just he knows some cool ninja tricks and he has a dope suit and a lot of money. He's actually brilliant, and not just brilliant and like I'm smart, I can solve math equations. Brilliant because he can actually solve crimes unlike the PD could, and he did it in such a way where he was not bound by jurisdiction and certain rules that the PD would have to follow, right? And we don't really get that on screen. Like even the Dark Knight films with Christopher Nolan, you don't really get the detective Batman. He does some stuff, checks ballistics, but it's not really highlighted. And in the trailer, right off the bat, we get Batman walking in with the PD. They seem like, whoa, this is crazy, this guy's in. He's in year 2, and he's clearly helping solve crimes. And I think this is the first moment where it starts to ramp up. So maybe he's doing some small stuff with like the Falcones and the Maronis, the gangsters, right? And then Riddler starts doing his riddles, which is a whole different ballgame, clearly directed at Batman. I think what they're trying to capture is we are going to get, for the first time, the greatest detective Batman taking on one of the most formidable, mysterious killers in the comic books, and that is the Riddler. We're going to get a detective crime thriller Batman movie, and I couldn't, did you hear that? Did you hear what I just said? We're going to get a detective crime thriller Batman movie done complete justice, and I couldn't be more thrilled. That being said, let me give you a quick hypothesis of how this movie is going to go down. So it's already been stated that Batman is in year 2, which means that he's probably got a lot of idealism and a lot of hopes for what he's doing, and either maybe that's not coming to fruition, or he's finally starting to get his foot in the door. Even Alfred mentions that he's starting to get a little popular, and maybe that's not necessarily what he wanted to do, but that's what's happening in doing so and solving the crime of Gotham. And you have a lot of things at play. Gotham has always been a city plagued by good people always having dark hidden skeletons in their closet. You've got tons of villains, organized crime. Gotham is one messed up city, and the question is, what is the Riddler trying to bring to light to Batman? He says in the trailer that you're a part of this, and you'll see what that means, and he's like, you must not lie. So either we're gonna find out that perhaps Batman's not as squeaky clean as it's all said and done, maybe there's some things that he's done because he ain't perfect, or the Riddler's trying to show that Batman's alliance with the Gotham PD and these people of justice and the law are actually just as filthy as the Falcones and Maronis and every other villain in Gotham City. And I want to throw one other little nugget out to you, and this is really far-fetched, but I'm just going to throw it out there. This vibe would fit into the world of Arthur Fleck's Joker movie that we got. Now, I'm not saying they're going to cross it over, because I do think Joker's a standalone film and it should stay that way. But if you're laying the groundwork for realistic villains, you definitely have it with the way they're setting up this new Batman film. And like I said, I couldn't be more excited. Once again, guys, thank you so much for being here and watching these videos. What are you hoping to see in the new Batman movie? Comment below and let me know. And as always, until next time, thanks for watching.